Yoriichi Tsugikuni vs Kamikaze. One of the strongest heroes in One Punch Man goes up against the most powerful demon slayer to have ever existed. This matchup was suggested multiple times in the Kamikaze vs Roronoa Zoro's video. Certainly a very captivating matchup to make due to the obvious similarities between the two. One uses the sun breathing technique and the other uses the sunblade sword. Both are also legendary sword masters who dresses up in the traditional samurai way. This came to be due to Kamikaze challenging Yoriichi to examine if he's worthy enough of becoming one of the Swordmasters Council members. In this video, we will take a look at both of their fighting styles, general physical stats and abilities to find out who would be the strongest samurai between the two. But before that, do not forget to slash the subscribe button and the notification bell for more of these One Punch Man matchup videos. Thank you. Demon Slayer Season 1 and 2 are literally one of the best visual stacked anime I have ever watched, filled with amazing art and animation, telling a story of multiple swordmen with different breathing styles trying to eventually overcome the Demon Lord Muzan. This Demon Lord throughout the whole story seems to be literally invincible due to how ridiculously strong his demon subordinates are. But there exists one Demon Slayer, or I would say the Demon Slayer, who's able to defeat him back in the day with relative ease. This character is none other than Yoriichi Tsugikuni. Yoriichi is hands down the strongest demon slayer of all time, manifested his demon slayer mark from birth, and had innate swordsmanship talent ever since he was a kid. His breathing style, called Hinokami Kagura, later revealed to be the sun breathing technique, is said to be so strong that its creator had to modify it to suit others who are unable to use it. And if that's not enough, he was also capable of using the transparent world ever since he was a kid, an ocular ability that allows him to essentially predict and evade his opponent's attacks by perceiving the flow of their internal organs, an ability that only 3 Hashiras were able to manifest in the latest arc. This, from a story standpoint, makes Yoriichi in terms of innate talent and skills unmatched to others. Now that we have mentioned his overall abilities, let's now talk about his general stats, how strong, durable, and fast he is. You see, it's very important to mention that the Demon Slayer verse unfortunately lacks heavily in the attack potency department, if not including Doma's Hoarfrost Bodhisattva's demon technique. Strictly speaking, this is generally a creation feat and should not equate to attack potency, and even if it does, it should certainly not scale to his overall capabilities. But let's say you choose to ignore this particular piece of information, then Doma's attack potency would scale him to multi-city blocks of punching force. Otherwise, the whole verse without this feat would sadly cap at building level, meaning Yoriichi being obviously way superior to all of the upper moons and even not tracked Muzan, with on the low end range from building to city block level, and on the high end would range from multi-city blocks to maybe small city level of attack potency. And that's obviously with being completely generous with the Demon Slayer verse, since I couldn't really pinpoint any feat that places them higher than this in terms of sword strikes or attack potency. But you see, the most pressing issue when scaling the Demon Slayer verse must come from scaling its speed. Strictly speaking, there are only 2 ways to generally put a number on how fast these characters are, and that's either with taking the character's dodging lightning meta or using Muichiro's feat of cutting 10,000 killer fish in an instant that seems to be a more generally accepted line of scaling speed in the verse. However, the 2 metas seems to have very questionable bases, with Muichiro's feat being calced at a baseless assumption that he has managed to swing or cut 10,000 times in that one instant. I mean, that might have been the case, but he could have just used an AoE attack, or with each slash he cuts a considerable amount of fishes at a single go. The anime actually shows that the fishes weren't sliced on an individual basis, meaning the calc could be considerably wrong. And with the second meta of characters dodging lightning, a lot seems to be on the favor of lightning not really being real lightning in Demon Slayer, with arguments like Kaigaku's lightning being actually black attack, and Sekido's lightning are not coming from the sky, and that only happened in the anime. But nonetheless, we'd be ignoring these arguments and still be using Miuchiro's massively hypersonic feat, meaning Yoriichi would be in the massively hypersonic plus area to relativistic levels of speed. This multiplier obviously comes from Yoriichi easily reacting and intercepting Muzan easily when multiple Hashiras needed to team up in order to stand a chance, not to mention blitzing Kokishibo even in an old age state. Yoriichi, when reading the Demon Slayer manga, seemed to me like a very cheated character who is not only leagues stronger and faster than anyone, but also considerably skilled and more talented. And with all of this being said, can he hope to match one of the strongest swordsmen in the One Punch Man verse?
何の価値もない男なのだ。
It is really impressive how the One Punch Man manga has managed to gather multiple different fighting styles and systems and implement them in one single series. Each have their own sets of rules and mechanisms that would change any fight drastically, from espers who can create barriers and manipulate objects to martial artists who has various type of hand-to-hand techniques. However, I would argue that it is very essential for a fighting manga to have characters who are skilled in fighting with a sword. The best and strongest in One Punch Man in that particular regard should be Kamikaze, aka Atomic Samurai. Atomic Samurai is the number 3 ranked hero, a character who can fight dragon level monsters who are said to be a threat to multiple cities. That means that any character who scales below dragon level monsters can be easily one-shotted by Atomic Samurai. He's not only skilled but well known for being extremely precise, uses a toothpick to slice a monster apart with ease, and proceeds to even dominate an opponent who copied his swordsmanship play despite using a two-blade style, stating that it's nothing but a cheap imitation. Now, Atomic Samurai holds many different techniques and abilities, but the most well-known, or I should say his signature attack, would be obviously his Atomic Slash, stated to be the only swordman in the world capable of performing this technique. This serves as a testament of how fast Atomic Samurai's attacks are, since even when holding back against Haragiri, performing only 42 slashes, this feat at a very conservative and lowball estimation should put him at the massively hypersonic plus levels of speed. However, there exists other feats that places him way higher than this, such as Kamikaze intercepting G5 lasers and cutting it with a long-range technique called Airblade that should make him at least 4 times the speed of light. This obviously without considering the huge amp he attained with his Sunblade state. Now, when it comes to slashes or attack potency, with strictly speaking, the best way to come up with the number should be by using Black S's multiplier to find out how much force exactly he could exert in his golden form, since Atomic Samurai with a casual slash was able to cut off Golden S's arm. With this, he should also be at a small country level of attack potency based on Golden S's multiplier calc, and this is obviously without using the Atomic Beeline slash, a technique that allows him to converge all of his atomic cuts into one single slash. Now, it's also very important to note that Atomic Samurai has done all of these feats with zero training and without his Moon Blade, which means that with proficient training and mastery over both blades, he'd certainly be much stronger than this. He also has access to key manipulation, where he can sense his opponent's aura, whether it's strength or killing intent, but it's still very ambiguous how that mechanism works in general, since we've never seen him comment on other characters' aura other than Platinum S. Now, the first time we see Atomic Samurai in both anime and manga, he states that he only acknowledges the strong, which ironically was targeted towards the strongest in the verse. But on that note, would he acknowledge the strength of a character such as Yoriichi Tsugikuni?
空のおもちゃには仲間が乗っているのか。
Now, it's very safe to say that the Demon Slayer verse isn't really stacking up in terms of attack potency and speed compared to the One Punch Man verse. Even when it comes to things like lifting strength, a high-tier character like Gyome struggles to move a boulder more twice his size, while you have a character like Tank Top Master who can literally lift buildings and throw them in the sky with relative ease. However, since we are talking about the strongest Demon Slayer whom I consider to be a cheat in his verse, one might think that things can change a bit. Surely a cheated character like the first user of breathing styles can compete in the One Punch Man verse. However, as bizarre to a lot of people as it seems, this is far from the truth. Generally speaking, looking at both of Yoriichi and Kamikaze's stats, it is tremendously obvious how Atomic Samurai just outscales him in every regard. When it comes to speed, even if you want to highball Yoriichi to the extreme limits and say that he possesses relativistic combat and reaction speeds, Kamikaze at a very conservative level sits comfortably at 4 times the speed of light, with obviously excluding things like Genos dodging lasers and the speed boost he attains from the Sunblade sword. This, as a matter of fact, would actually result in an all-around outclassing in speed, or for a better term, a blitz. Even with Yoriichi predicting Atomic Samurai's movements with his transparent word, it would actually just act as a double-edged sword, since that would just confirm to him that he would not be able to dodge that upcoming attack. You see, this case actually becomes more hopeless when you include things such as attack potency in the equation, with Atomic Samurai's every strike having the potential of not just breaking Yoriichi's sword, but also certainly cut through him like he was carving a cake. You just simply cannot match a small country level character with a city level at best opponent. And to make a long story short, Yoriichi in this regard can only have a glimpse of a chance if they somehow fight with equal stats. But if you take these characters as they are, Atomic Samurai not only does he stomp, but also blitzes Yoriichi, and it's just not close. And as Yoriichi said to Mishikatsu, known as Kokishibo, "My brother, we are not that great. We are merely just fragments of humankind's long history." With that being said, Atomic Samurai in the Demon Slayer verse would obviously be the strongest Demon Slayer in history. He cannot win against Muzan due to his regen ability, and Atomic Samurai does not possess the sun breathing technique. However, that problem has a very simple solution, which is Kamikaze can simply drag him outside with his superior attack potency and keep him busy until sunrise. As for Yoriichi, due to the lack of significant attack potency, it would be fairly difficult to deal with demon level monsters, which means he wouldn't obviously be an S-class hero. However, if highballed to the extreme limit, I'd say he would have a chance to be in that particular category. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button, as I've been told that this actually helps with the algorithm, and I really appreciate the tremendous support on this channel. You have no idea how much that means to me, so thank you so much. Until next time, please take good care of yourself.